Hi, babes. Welcome to another episode of the With Love from Liv show. My name is Liv, and I love that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. I am bringing this episode to you live from Instagram. So if you are here hanging out, say hi. I'm so happy to have you. Today, I am obviously in a little more casual setting than usual. For my girlies, it's luteal time, so I'm just kind of chilling out, hanging out on my couch, and I just wanted to come chat because I've been diving so deeply into the science of love. And yes, it is a decision, right? Love is a choice. It's an action. And also, it's a science, and I think that that's something that a lot of people don't know, don't understand. So I wanted to come on here today and talk about that and kind of break it down, because as I talk to my singles, as I talk to people in my community so often, and even clients will tell me this, when I say love is a choice and you can choose to live your life in love right now, I will have people that will say, well, not really, because I can't force anybody to be in a relationship with me, right? And so because I can't force or control anybody else, then I can't really do what you're saying. I can't really create love right now. And while it is true, you cannot force anybody to be in a relationship with you. You cannot force love. You cannot force someone else to love you. You can create a life right now that you're in love with. You can create heaven on earth right now in this very moment. And it could include somebody else, but it doesn't have to. You can create a honeymoon of your life at any moment, and you can also choose to stay into it as long as you want to, okay? Everybody likes to talk about the honeymoon phase, usually obviously in relation to being in a new relationship. And then everybody says, well, the honeymoon phase ends. Just wait till the honeymoon phase is over, blah, blah, blah. I've heard that so many times, both as a coach and when I started dating my husband. A lot of people were kind of coming at me kind of cynically, like, oh, well, just wait till this phase is over. Well, I am happy to report that I am more than 2 years into my marriage, 4 years of being together, and I still get the honeymoon phase feeling. And I want to share that with you, and I want to teach you how you can do that and you can feel that right now, whether you're in a relationship or not. And bonus, if you can learn to do this in your life right now, then it's actually going to draw better dating options to you. It's going to attract amazing people who want to date you, and you're gonna be like, what happened? Like, suddenly everyone is knocking on my door, and what will have changed is your attitude, right? How you're seeing the world, and mostly how you're allowing yourself to be in your life, okay? So before I really dive into that, I don't know if you guys know this, but I published a book in July. It is called Sorry You're Not Perfect, and it is like a guided journey. So it's a self-help book, right? And it's kind of written to guide you towards self-acceptance. And I always knew, like since I was a little kid, that I would be an author. And for my book, I self-published it, and I did it on Amazon. And because I chose to do that, I was very intentional about how I did it. So I created a moment for myself. I had written it, and it was just about finished. And this was probably in May of last year. And I was like, okay, when am I going to publish this? And right when I was thinking about, okay, when do I publish? When do I launch? My mentor sent me a message, and she said, hey, do you want to come with me to Paris? And as soon as she asked me that, I was like, well, yeah, obviously. And when she asked me that, I was like, that's it. That's going to be my moment. And so, yes, I put it off. I put the whole thing on hold. I had it all like uploaded onto Amazon. I don't know if you guys have ever published a book, but you can upload the whole thing to Amazon, and then you just choose when you want it to go live. So I had it all queued up, ready to go, and I waited until I was in my hotel room. I was taking a bubble bath, and my window overlooked the Eiffel Tower. It was so just beyond magical. And I chose that moment very specifically and very intentionally because I didn't want to just publish a book, right? Like, I want to create moments in my life. And so when I published it, it was such a moment. And ever since then, I have had another book that I am writing, okay? I've had the title set for it for several months. Actually, my husband told me to title it this, and he's genius. So it's called Dating Code. And for a while, I was thinking about what I wanted to say in this new book. And I had written out its like subheading as a guide to dating in the digital age, because that's a lot of where this business like came from, right? Was trying to figure out dating in a time of dating apps and social media and all of that. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll write a book about that. But honestly, it just did not light me up. It has been hard to sit down and try to write it. And so I haven't. Then recently, I have been making a study of what's called epigenetics. Okay, I read a book called The Biology of Belief, and I have just taken this huge dive into how your beliefs impact your physiology. And as I have been doing that, studying that, and applying it into my life and showing my clients how changing their beliefs can impact their life, that has really, really filled me with this new sense of purpose. And so it finally clicked with me today. That's what your book needs to be about. It needs to be about the science of falling in love, because it is a science and it is something that you can implement right now. Okay. So how do you do it? How do you tap into this? And I mean, okay, I say that, and I know that that might make love sound way less romantic and like less about feelings and emotions and blah, blah, blah. And it could be a little bit of a different angle for you. But the science of falling in love is so much actually about the science of miracles, the science of creation, the science of creating heaven on earth right now. And the key to it is mindfulness. So when I say that, mindfulness is to be present in the moment. And it's more than just like not being on your phone, right? Being present in the moment, being mindful, is actually to turn your thinking brain off. And this is a very hard thing to do because we're always thinking, right? And it's very much something that you would need to practice. I have been practicing it for a long time. I'm still not amazing at it, but if you have ever been in love, if you have ever stepped into a new relationship and been in that space where you're just like on another planet almost, right? Like you're caught up in the feelings and the moment, and you're just kind of hanging out, and you would forget your head if it wasn't attached to your body, right? Because suddenly the things in your life that seemed mundane, the things in your life that weren't fun or that you had to do, or you were just kind of in the motions of doing, now they're fun. Like getting ready. Before you are getting into your relationship, before you start going on those dates, then a lot of people like me, I would just like throw on some mascara and I would throw my hair in a ponytail and that would be it. Then when I started dating my husband, I started to become a lot more intentional, and I wanted to look really good, and I wanted to be really intentional about our dates and have the perfect outfit. And I was just so like floating on air because I was in love. And that feeling of I'm not being so methodical about everything I'm doing, and instead I'm just enjoying the process. I'm just enjoying who I am. I'm just enjoying this moment and that moment because I'm so excited about this connection that I'm forming. That is being present. That is the honeymoon phase that you can actually implement into your life, whether you're dating somebody or not, right? You don't have to have this catalyst of someone else in order to bring that intention to your daily life. It can be a decision that you choose and you step into right now, right? And it does take practice, okay? This isn't something that, it may sound very simple, but it does take a lot of intentionality. It does take work to mentally shift from, yes, I'm living my life on autopilot, into I am enjoying everything that I'm doing. And of course, there will be moments where you slip back into autopilot and slip back into patterns of thinking, what if this doesn't work out? Or what if, I don't get the job offer? What if this person doesn't like me back? What if, all of these worst case scenarios that flood our mind when we're on the autopilot? Because the thing is, most of your life is being lived through your subconscious, right? So your subconscious brain is calling the shots for 95% of the action that you take. Your conscious mind is calling the shots for only 5% of your decisions. And that's if you're intentional about it, right? So a lot of us are going through these motions and we're playing out these patterns. And this is especially true while you're dating, right? This is especially, I guess, easy to identify as you're dating because so many people will date the same person over and over and over again with a different hairstyle, or, they look different, but they have the same personality traits. They treat you the same way and you get the same outcomes. It's, yes, I'm really excited. Here's this new person. No, they're not emotionally available. And great, they've broken my heart again. Oh, here's this new person. They're so great, but they're not emotionally available. And now they've broken my heart again, right? And so you keep going through these same patterns and getting the same outcome because your subconscious mind is keeping you on that same track, right? And what we know about how your subconscious mind works is that it was programmed from the time that you were 0 to about 6 years old. And so whatever you decided was right for you, whatever you decided kept you safe, you will keep replaying that over and over and over again into your adulthood. And if you pay special attention, you will notice that who you date and how those patterns play out for you are very reminiscent of your childhood, right? Either your parents' relationship or the relationship of someone significant that you observed. There's a lot that you absorbed and downloaded from a very young age, and now you're just projecting it again and again and again. Now, there are a lot of people who say you've got to go back and you've got to heal the inner child and do all of that. And you can, sure. But you don't need to. You can create the honeymoon phase in your life. You can use the science of falling in love and apply it to your life right now without ever going backwards, without ever digging into your past. And the way that you do that is through mindfulness. It's through intention. It's through learning to live in a way that feels really good. I know that a lot of people right now online especially are talking about, toxic positivity and, not to fall into that, not to be too positive. And the thing is that positive thoughts impact your outcomes and your behaviors just as much as your negative thoughts do. And so it's incumbent on you to be very, very intentional about which one you allow to drive the ship, right? So already you're going to be predisposed to live in a certain way based on your childhood. You can override that programming through intentionally choosing better thoughts, through intentionally choosing to feel good. And instead of just going through the motions of your life, to create moments for yourself, to create the ability to fall in love and exist in that honeymoon period all the time, whether you're in a relationship or not. And a honeymoon phase isn't really supposed to be this like eternal absence of anything bad ever happening to you. And a lot of people get that kind of mixed up in their relationships. They think, well, once the honeymoon phase is over, that's it, it's over, it's not coming back. Or, if the honeymoon phase ends, then the relationship needs to end. The honeymoon phase in a relationship and as you live your life will end, and you can recreate it. And it can become a cycle rather than a one-time phase, right? Is this making sense? So if you can learn how to create a honeymoon phase cycle and intentionally step into it again and again and again, you will slip out. You will go back to old patterns. You will fall back into, thoughts of, can I do this? And who am I? And, all of those self-doubt things that come up because we're human. And that's okay. Just because you're choosing to be intentional and you have a negative thought or you have a setback or whatever happens and that occurs, that doesn't mean you did anything wrong, and it doesn't mean that you can't step back into the honeymoon cycle. And the more that you choose to exist in this honeymoon phase, in this place of just enjoying your life, the better your life is going to be, and also the more attractive you are going to be to the people that you want to date. Because I don't know if you have ever tried to go out with someone who is so cynical, but it's drag. Like, I have been on dates with guys who just hate everything. And all they're doing is complaining about their life. And I could not get off of that date fast enough because that sucks to be around, right? And the more that people are complaining and the more that they are negative, the more that actually feeds the feedback in your mind, the recording in your mind that's already programmed and already calling the shots. And so the more that you can shift that internal dialogue, the more that you can shift into, I feel good. I feel intentional about what I'm creating. I feel excited about each day when I wake up. The more that you're going to start rewriting all of those programs for yourself, the more that you're going to change the internal voice in your head instead of defaulting to, I'm such a loser, I'm such a failure every time a relationship doesn't work out, or every time you don't get the job, or every time you get passed up for an opportunity, whatever it is. The more that you start to replace that with, okay, this didn't work out, and that doesn't have to mean anything about me. Okay, this didn't work out, and I can still enjoy my life. This isn't the end of the world. That's not the only person for me. The better you're going to start feeling overall. And eventually, the honeymoon phases, they're going to get longer. And they're going to be higher. And you're going to enjoy your life so much more because you're actively moving into a state of being in love. And for my science geeks out there, the vibration of love, because we know that all things exist at a frequency, right? That is the basis of quantum physics. The more that you can exist in the frequency vibration of love, the better everything in your life becomes, because it is literally changing your physiology. And as you choose to change your physiology, that starts to have this outward impact on the people in your life, on the circumstances in your life, on how everything else goes for you. So for a long time, we were taught that your genetics will determine how your life goes, right? It was a very common belief that was held in our society. We now know that the opposite is true. We now know that how you feel can change your environment. How you feel can change your biology. Okay? So if you can get intentional about how you feel, everything will change for you. Okay? And a lot of people will wait and they'll say, when things get better, I'll feel better. That's backwards. You're going to be waiting your whole life for that. If instead you can start to say, because I choose to feel better, everything gets better for me, you are going to see such a drastic change in your outcomes, in how you feel, in how you look, in how your interactions go, in your connections with other people. It all starts to change. It all starts to transform, because how you feel internally will be reflected in your external world. Okay. And this isn't just like woo-woo crazy stuff. This is literally what Christ taught. Okay. Christ's miracles were not done because Christ willed them on other people. Christ was only able to perform miracles through the belief of the person that he was healing. So instead of just laying his hands on everyone, or for example, the woman who grabbed his robes, who he didn't even touch, right? It wasn't because he did that because he's an almighty being, although he is, right? He's the Son of God. He was able to heal these people because of their belief. And because of their belief internally, their biology changed. The blind man received sight. So your desire to change your outcomes, your desire to change how life is going for you, is 100% going to be contingent on how you choose to feel. And that can sound scary because that is a heck of a lot of responsibility on you. And a lot of people aren't really willing to take on that responsibility. And that's your choice. You don't have to, okay? You can choose to be miserable. You can choose to let your default be a bummer. And if you don't want to do that, you have the opportunity to change all of that instantly when you choose to. When you choose to say, I'm responsible for how I feel, and because I'm responsible for how I feel, now I'm responsible for my life, now I'm responsible for what happens around me, everything will change for you, okay? And there's a little bit of a delay, because just like the caterpillar who, covers himself in the cocoon, takes some time for it to emerge a butterfly, it will take a little bit of time for you to change how you feel and see it reflected. And that really freaks people out, because people will say, well, I decided to feel better and immediately everything didn't change, so now I'm going to default back to feeling crappy. You're working against yourself there, right? In the winter, when the sun rises, it takes a couple of hours for it to warm up the rest of the atmosphere, right? There's going to be a delay. When you choose to change how you feel, there will be a small delay, but I can promise you, because science proves this, religion proves this, Christ proves this, however you want to look at it, it is a proven fact that if you change the way that you feel internally, it will change how things go for you externally, okay? With that, You can create heaven on earth right now. You can create love in your life right now. You can feel so good, so loved, so taken care of, so freaking rich. You can feel anything that you want to see. You can choose to start feeling it right now. And if you can hold onto that feeling, even when you second guess it, get back into it. Hold it as long as you can. And then when you forget or you get distracted, tune back into it. Create that mindfulness for yourself. And I promise you that things will start to change. Okay? If you are watching this live, feel free to drop any questions. If you're watching the replay, feel free to leave a comment and make sure that if this doesn't make sense to you, you let me know so I know to explain better. But I'm going to write a whole book about this. So watch out for that. I'm feeling so lit up, so excited because at my core, I want you to feel loved. Like, that's my whole intention. That's the purpose of this business. And if I can help you do that in some small way, especially if it's a long-lasting way, then I have done my job. So make sure to connect with me if you need some clarity. And I want to challenge you to take 5 minutes today. Sit and just let yourself feel good. Just sit in a sauna, sit somewhere where you have music playing, sit somewhere, take a few minutes, let yourself just feel good and start to notice what comes up. What are the thoughts that start to present themselves when you take that pause? Because I can almost guarantee the majority of those thoughts are going to be negative. They're going to be, why are you doing this? They're going to be, this isn't working. You're so dumb for doing this. You have so many things to do. This is a waste of time. Like, pay attention to those thoughts. Don't engage with them, but pay attention to them. And ask yourself, are the majority of my thoughts positive or are they negative? Because if the majority of them are negative, that's your work to do. To start rewriting, replacing those negative thoughts so that when you sit alone with yourself, it's a positive experience. When you're sitting alone with your own thoughts, when you have nothing else going on to distract you, it's a safe place to be. It's a place that you enjoy. It's a time that makes you feel even better. Okay? So with that, I will go ahead and sign off. I am so grateful that you were all here to join me today. I hope that if you catch the replay, you enjoyed it too. And I will talk to you later.